Welcome to Flying Talkers broadcast from Flying Typers, air cargo news, the original in New York City, USA. Our program is brought to you by our sponsor in air cargo history, Pay Cargo. More about Pay Cargo upcoming. Happy National Aviation Day, Orville, on your birthday, August 19th. Every year on August 19th, the U.S. pauses to mark the story of flight and everything that changed because humans figured out how to leave the ground on purpose. The date isn't just a nice spot on the calendar. It's Orville Wright's birthday, officially set aside back in 1939, that after a proclamation was issued by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. So here's what we couldn't stop thinking about this year. If any institution should give Orville Wright a clear, bright moment on National Aviation Day, shouldn't it be the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C.? Yet, August 19th came and went without a real standalone marker from the museum. Instead, most of the spotlight is pointed at something huge and genuinely worth celebrating at Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, the 50th anniversary of the National Mall building, rolling through the summer of 2026, with major events already underway. To be fair, 50 years is significant. A museum like that doesn't just turn 50. It survives, grows, becomes part of how a nation tells its story. Still, the timing feels a little strange, because the museum's identity is built on the exact kind of turning point that National Aviation Day is supposed to honor. Before it was a modern landmark on the mall, the Smithsonian's aviation story was scrappier. Early displays lived in the old Arts and Industries building, where flight was presented in a way that would feel almost improvised today. Models under glass, aircraft suspended overhead. Not a destination yet, just a growing collection and a public that couldn't get enough of this brand new idea that people could actually fly. This is where one of the most important names enters the picture, Paul Garber. Garber was Smithsonian Aviation Curator for 72 years from 1920 until 1992, and from everything you can tell, he had this stubborn, purposeful drive. They named the collection of aircraft at Dulles Airport after this legendary character.
We will get to that after this message from Pay Cargo. Pay Cargo is a neutral cloud-based financial platform that allows freight forwarders and cargo owners to make fast electronic payments to carriers, maritime ports, and ground handlers. Pay Cargo links financial settlements directly to shipping data to speed up the release of cargo across air, ocean, rail, and trucking supply chains. Companies use Pay Cargo for faster cargo release. Vendors typically release shipments within an hour of receiving digital payment approval, eliminating delays from traditional processing. Pay Cargo accuracy and speed lowers operating costs whilst replacing expensive manual tasks like writing paper checks or sending bank wires, which carry high administrative costs. So choose Pay Cargo to improve cash flow, generate automated workflows, transparent tracking, and financing options or credit lines to manage payables and receivables smoothly. Pay Cargo, your one-stop payment tracking single dashboard at your fingertips, multiple transport option to speed up air cargo. And tell them Flying Talkers broadcast sent you.
Recall when I delivered the eulogy for my friend Edward Ansel Talbert in the Arlington Chapel in 1987, there was Paul Garber unannounced to honor the great New York Herald Tribune journalist who had joined us delivering special commentaries in air cargo news from 1981. Services ended. I mentioned to Mr. Garber Ed Talbert's work with Jimmy Doolittle and Operation Ultra in England during World War II, and sharing that the general responded to my call for help, tasking his son to work with my wife Sabia, as both then saw to it that Ed Talbert received a full military service 21-gun salute. And all, with final interment at Arlington National Cemetery. I know. Paul Garber smiled. I spoke to the general. I invited Mr. Garber to join us with a group of writers for a Talbert wake at the National Press Club. He politely declined, saying, "I have to get back." And he was gone. Paul Garber, as a curator, wasn't collecting objects for the sake of collecting. He was trying to save proof. Proof that the impossible had been done, and that it mattered enough to preserve carefully before it got lost to time or treated like a temporary thrill. One of Garber's big wins was persuading Charles Lindbergh in 1928 to donate the Spirit of St. Louis. That wasn't just another airplane to hang up. The Ryan monoplane that the aviator always referred to as We arrived with gravity, including great fame and the kind of cultural pull that told the world, this is where aviation history is going to live. And inevitably, it nudged other donors to think the same way. After Orville Wright died in 1948, the Wright Flyer from Kitty Hawk was left to the Smithsonian. For years, visitors could walk into that old Smithsonian building and see two defining symbols overhead, the Wright Flyer and the Spirit of St. Louis. One aircraft representing the birth of powered flight, the other representing a world that suddenly felt smaller because air travel could stitch it together. The people came in waves. It got so busy that visitor counts became this serious operation. Not just aviation diehards, either. Hundreds of thousands of people a year, crowding into a space that was never built for that kind of demand. That popularity pushed the next step. On July 1st, 1976, the National Air and Space Museum, NASM, opened, and it quickly became one of the Smithsonian's signature institutions. Now, in the summer of 2026, it's celebrating 50 years while also emerging from what's basically a rebirth, a roughly $1 billion renovation, redesigned galleries, major spaces reopening around that same July 1st milestone. Today, between the National Mall Museum and the Udvar-Hazy Center in Chantilly, Virginia, you're looking at around 3 million visitors a year. It's one of the most visited museums in the country, and it's a global reference point for how aviation and space history gets collected and explained. A lot of that authority comes from the people behind the scenes. Over the decades, the museum has been tied to major voices who helped shape how the public understands aviation. R.E.G. Davies is one of the great examples. Ron's output through Smithsonian channels was enormous, and his collaborations with artist Mike Mackett produced airline histories that didn't just stack up facts. Mackett's exquisite art and Ron's words gave people a way to see aviation's golden age, to feel the branding and the romance and the look of it, from Pan Am to Delta to TWA to Lufthansa and beyond. From today at NASM, there are curators and historians like Tom Crouch, who helped create that recognizable museum voice many of us still encounter in Smithsonian books, catalogs, and the museum shop. That voice matters. It's part of how a museum becomes not just a building with objects, but a storyteller with credibility. So allow me to ask this question again. How does an institution so deeply tied to Orville Wright's legacy glide right by his birthday, our proclaimed National Aviation Day, without a clear moment of recognition? A 50th anniversary can be the headline, sure, but National Aviation Day doesn't have to compete with it. It can live inside it. A short tribute, a focused acknowledgement, something that simply says, out loud, we remember why this all started. Because the Smithsonian's aviation story isn't abstract. It's made of people and decisions. It's Garber pushing to preserve what mattered before everyone agreed it mattered. It's Lindbergh trusting the institution with his most famous aircraft. It's Orville Wright's legacy being literally placed into the museum's care. Those aren't side notes. That's the foundation. Hey, lover of aviation, wherever you are today, you can do the small thing that still counts. Take a birthday moment for Orville Wright, one of the minds behind the first powered flight. While you're there, tip your hat to Lindbergh and to Paul Garber, too, because without persistence like that, history doesn't just fade. It can drift into myth. Maybe that's the bigger point. What we choose to honor, and when we choose to honor it, shapes the history we pass on. That's also why I've been thinking about the work ahead. A new project called Air Cargo Chronicles is launching in September, right in these pages built from decades of watching the industry up close. If we're going to celebrate air cargo history honestly, we have to make room for the people, routes, networks, and operations that truly got it off the ground, including defining efforts like the Berlin airlift. History deserves clarity. It deserves names. It deserves the truth. I'll end this with the question that's been hanging in the air for me. Has anyone seen my old friends Orville, Charles, and Paul lately? If you find them, don't just glance their way. Say their names. Remember what they built. Thanks for your time this time. Until next time. And keep flying air cargo. And good night, Joe, wherever you are.